All right. All right. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Great Debate Show. I'm your host, Jarvis Jeffries. So I was with you live about 20, 30 minutes ago, and I don't know what happened. I can't like play the video, and well, it won't play. So I figured I'd come back and I'd do it again real quick, even quicker this time, hopefully. So I just did a podcast where I was talking about everyone complaining about Joe Burrow and can he like play or ball the way we've normally seen him do without his star receivers? Can he do it without a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase? Some people say they want to see him do it without a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase. Why? And why wouldn't he want to keep his star receivers? They're star receivers. They're balling. They're both number ones, except Jamar's 1A, T. Higgins more 1B. Some people would even debate that. And that's why they want to see him go somewhere else. And I get it all. But the Bengals have came out and said that they're going to try to pay Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson. Now, if we know the Cincinnati Bengals and Mike Brown, we know they're cheap as hell, and we know they probably won't pay all three players. They never have, even when there's one player that's due to get a contract. They let them go. Joe Mixon, gone, didn't get paid. Jesse Bates, gone, didn't get paid. They've tried to put some money in the offensive line in the past after the Super Bowl year that he was still hit more than any other quarterback in the league that season. But it still hasn't worked out. Joe Burrow and the Bengals need the offensive line. He needs protection, and they need defense. If you pay Trey Hendrickson, that's just one portion of the defense. What about the rest of the D line, the back end? If you pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase along with Hendrickson, there's no money or room to pay the defense, is there? There's no room or money to fix the offensive line. And the game is to be won in the trenches. Every team should be trying their best to acquire and draft the most talented players they can in the trenches on both sides of the football, whether it be in offense or defense. I think the Cincinnati Bengals will not pay all three. They will pay maybe two out of three. Higgins may be one that gets cut loose, even though there's rumors that they're willing to tag T. Higgins for a second year. And that's why these guys have got to stop signing these CBAs, agreeing to this bullshit. These guys are getting held hostage for years, tag. And by the time they finally let them free and let them release them to be a free agent, they're a used car with too many miles on it now, just coming off the showroom floor. But it's lost all the value as soon as it came off the showroom floor. So my question is, what would happen if T. Higgins leaves, if Trey Hendrickson leaves, and he only got to keep Jamar Chase? Now, Joe Burrow is even coming out saying that he will sacrifice some of his contract, have it restructured, whatever he has to do to keep that core together. That's something the 49ers would do. The 49ers would pay their core players. They've done it. They've been doing it. But I think that's mainly because they think it's because they got good players. I'd say it's because you can't draft. You have to know when to replace these players and who to keep and who to replace. We signed Javon Hargrave. The 49ers signed Javon Hargrave from the Eagles last year. He went to the Super Bowl now, don't get me wrong. This year, 2024, he was hurt. But out of 2 years, he's shown me that he's an interior pass rusher. That's it. Not a run stopper. And why? And it cost us a lot of money just for that. Meanwhile, the Eagles just let him walk, let us throw the money at him, and they drafted Jalen Carter. And now Jalen Carter, 2 years later, is a Super Bowl champion. You catching my drift? You have to know who to pay and who to move on from and replace in the draft. The Bengals are probably going to take that approach because they don't like paying players like this anyway. They don't pay one player when they're due. You think they're going to pay all three? They dropped the ball on this, and they're about to drop the ball with Burrow, because I'm willing to say right now that all three of those players don't get paid. They should have paid Jamar Chase or T. Higgins earlier, and now this season they can take care of the other. Now they have to take care of them both all in one off season, plus Trey Hendrickson, and Joe Burrow has to give some money back. Nah, I say if he don't get both of those receivers back and Trey Hendrickson, all three, he probably asks for a trade because he could see his career going to waste down the toilet, and he could possibly be an injury-riddled quarterback due to the lack of protection that they're not investing in. And he could be the next Andrew Luck, retiring a good talent. And I think he's better than Andrew Luck that will retire at a young age. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not better than Andrew Luck, but I think he could be. Some people say it's because of the talent he has. I don't know if Joe Burrow can play good without that talent or not around him. I've never seen that. But I know what I see it, I like it, and I don't want to see him without that talent. But I think he's not going to keep all of those guys. So if that happens, Joe Burrow may ask for a trade. So I'm proposing that the Cincinnati Bengals trade Joe Burrow because he's going to demand it. If he demands out, what can you do? You're going to just let him just retire? You're going to let him just not play and get old and you get nothing out of him, get nothing out of it, out of the deal? No. Eventually, you have to just bow down. It's a team league for the most part with some teams. And I hate to say it, Joe Burrow is the guy who can kind of call his shot. What if Joe Burrow says, I'm out? I have a trade proposal. What if John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan called Mike Brown and the cheap Bengals and said, hey, you don't want to, he doesn't want to stay there because you didn't keep all of the core players? It's okay. Let's just say T. Higgins signs with the Tennessee Titans. Let's just say he goes to Nashville. He gets with Bryce Callahan, his former OC in Cincinnati, and he's a Titan. He went to go get the bag. Trey Hendrickson, he went to play with the Raiders or the Giants or somewhere to get the bag. And these guys are gone, and he's only stuck with Jamar Chase. What if he calls for a trade? What if Jamar Chase says, I'm holding out or I'm not playing? I want $40 million per. And that 32 that you're offering, it ain't going to cut it. He wants 35 or 40 after the season that he had. Or he doesn't play because he's boycotting the fact that you all let T. Higgins walk. Just what if it blows up and Joe Burrow says, I want out? How about if the Niners, Lynch and Shanahan get on the phone and they ask Mike Brown and the Bengals, can we get Joe Burrow? We will give you in return, and don't shoot. This is just a trade proposal. I'm just putting it out there. It'll never happen, right? Just like Aaron Rodgers, my take on Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings. It'll never happen, right? Probably not. But he went to the Jets just like Brett Favre. He could go to the Vikings just like Brett Favre. He started to play better toward the end of the year. What if they actually make it to the NFC Championship like Brett Favre did in 2010? Back to Joe Burrow, though. The Niners could give the Bengals Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, and a few mid-round picks, a mid-round and a late-round draft pick. You get 2 picks and 2 players. I don't know. That's 4 things worth of compensation. You can't beat that with a stick. And all we ask for in return is Mr. Burrow, Joe Cool. And we've got our next Joe, our franchise quarterback for the first time in over 20 years, a real franchise quarterback. Don't give me that Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Jimmy Garoppolo bullshit. You wouldn't get rid of Brock Purdy for Joe Burrow, even though you know Debo's already out the window. Let the Bengals have him. That's pretty dynamic. Purdy getting to play with Deebo still, and he's got Jamar Chase over there too. And over here, who cares what the Niners have? If they get an offensive line and get that right and protect Joe Burrow, that's 10 times more than what he's ever had in Cincinnati. Because even though he's had star receivers, they don't protect him well. And that leads to them not going for the ultimate goal. I know it'll never happen, but I just thought I'd propose it. What do you say, Bengals? We give you Deebo, we give you Brock Purdy. We give you a few draft picks too, maybe, if that's what it takes. I know. They're not gonna answer. They're gonna hang the phone up, I'm sure. But what if Joe Burrow demands out? This thing could get pretty ugly come summer. And he is letting it be known he wants those guys to hang around. What if they don't? And he sees his career turning into Andrew Luck and his career being a complete waste. I'm good in my prime and we'll never be good enough to win, though. Defense sucks. Offensive line sucks. Only thing doesn't suck on this team is me. So hell yeah, I want 60, 65, 70 million now in the next year or two. That's what it would be. Why not? But just for him to be good for nothing? He's either going to turn into Andrew Luck and leave, or he's going to be Dan Marino, just a good single season quarterback every year and never get anything out of it when it comes to accomplishments, wins, Super Bowls. What's it going to be? Don't pay these players and see what happens, Mr. Brown. And we know it's not likely that he'll do that. He doesn't pay his players one at a time. You think he's going to pay 3 at once? I think Joe Burrow is going to be upset, and he's not going to get his wish, and maybe he wants out. And if he does, I think my Niners will be calling, or at least they should. Kyle Shanahan, if you want to get back on my good side, that's what I say you would do. I wouldn't say anything bad about you then, because you wouldn't need to be a head coach, a good offensive coordinator, which you're not. But you wouldn't need to be, because Joe Burrow is good. And if anybody thinks that Joe Burrow won't be good without those star receivers on another team or on that team with somebody else, I beg to differ. I know we haven't saw it, but I just think he's pretty damn good. And I think he could ball with other receivers as well. They don't have to be elite like Jamar Chase. Remember, at one point, Jamar Chase was a rookie. Joe Burrow was a rookie. They've grown together. So how good do you think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase would be if they went and played with somebody else not named Joe Burrow? Just saying. And I also talked about Draymond Green, who probably needs to be drug tested, because he said that the Golden State Warriors will win the NBA championship. He said it during All-Star weekend. Now, the first time, he didn't say it convincingly. The second time, I think he was forced to double down and say it out loud. I don't think he really meant it, but he had to stick with it. The Warriors are better with Jimmy Butler. I think they went like 3-1, 4-1 when Jimmy Butler got there to Golden State and started right before the All-Star break. But they still look a little small to me. I don't know if they're ready to go up against the Nikola Jokic's and the Denver Nuggets and the OKC Thunder. Stop sleeping on my Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if he's ready to go up against teams like that. What if he does see Dallas? I don't know if they're a match. And don't sleep on the Spurs if they were to make it. You know, Wemby and Fox. The West may not be a bunch of great teams, but it's a lot of good teams. And it could be deep. Could you beat the Lakers right now, Warriors? I don't know. Let's see. It'll be an interesting season, to say the least, but I just wanted to know what you all thought about it. My people on the West Coast, you probably agree. Maybe you think that the Warriors are championship material now. Do you think the Jimmy Butler trade really was that major, that good? Did it make your team that much better to the Warriors fans? Let me know in the comments. I broke the news as soon as it happened. We talked about it when it happened about a week or so ago. And some people were pumped about it, but mainly it was just a bunch of depressing Dallas Mavs fans on here. And I don't blame them. They had just traded away Luka to the Lakers. But do you think the Warriors can win the championship this year? He says they can run through the West. Nobody scares him. And my question to him would be, who do you think you're scaring? I don't think anybody looks at the Warriors and are afraid of them either, though. But I'm interested to see what they can do, because I love me some Jimmy Buckets. Steph is still the goddamn man. And Draymond is going to fight to the end. We know that. We know what he brings defensively. But because he didn't bring much offensively, nobody's scared of the Warriors now. So I just wanted to know what you all thought about that. There was also another report that I thought that was alarming, especially for me being here in Memphis. And that report was that according to some NBA execs, and it was kind of jaw-dropping to me, in my opinion. But according to some NBA execs, they said this summer, look out for a potential trade. NBA executives believe that the Grizzlies could potentially look to move Ja Morant this summer, per Howard Beck. I'm constantly checking in with executives around the trade deadline about, like, okay, what we saw, what we didn't see, what's next. And in this league, you are always on the lookout for who's the next wave of stars that are going to get dealt, right? Somebody out of the blue said, keep an eye on Ja this summer. I'm just saying it's one of those things I'm just kind of keeping an eye on if they are to flame out early in the postseason. Wow. So if the Grizzlies have an early exit in the postseason, Ja could get traded this summer. The grit, the grind, and everything about Memphis, the energy that Ja brings to this city, to this team, it's him. A lot of people don't go to Grizzlies games if they know beforehand Ja is going to be out with an injury or sitting. They won't go. They some will. There's diehard Grizzly fans. I wouldn't say that's me, but I've always, it was with Zebo and Marc Gasol. I've always kind of ripped the Grizzlies, the home team, because I've never truly had an NBA team since Michael Jordan retired. I wasn't really a Bulls fan like I thought I was until he left the game. But I still claim those 6 championships that I watched growing up as a teen. My point is, though, is that Ja is the Memphis Grizzlies. And if they were to trade him away, I would love to see what they would get in return for that before I debate whether it's good or bad or not. But the main thing is, what would your reason be for trading Ja? What did he do, or what is he not doing? Did he not develop into a certain player that you think he needs to be in order to be a championship team? Or do you think that he just doesn't have it? Or do you just think that it's a good time to get a lot more for him, and those pieces will be enough to win that championship, even though we're sacrificing a star player? I'm not sure. There were talks that the Grizzlies were going to give up some of the young core talent that they have now for Jimmy Butler or Kevin Durant. Ja wouldn't have been getting traded then if you saw Ja Morant and KD on the floor together, or Ja and Jimmy Butler and Jaren Jackson. Not that I would have wanted to make that trade, because I ain't trying to give up too much. Desmond Bane, yeah, but Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, and Aldama, and a pick, no. Aldama's pretty good coming off the bench. Don't sleep on the Grizzlies. Draymond Green. Are the Warriors championship material? Do you think Ja Morant could get traded? I almost know for sure Kevin Durant will. There's reports of that happening too. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about pretty much. The Bengals' crucial crossroads, and can they keep their stars together on the same team? And what would happen if not? I propose a trade of Joe Burrow to the 49ers for Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, and a few draft picks if that's what it takes. Somebody tell me in the comment section why you would or wouldn't do it. I'd love to know. And this is just hypotheticals that I just thought I would throw out there, because I think Joe Burrow will ask for a trade. It seems like it's that serious to him to keep these players. And he ain't the owner, though. He's not the boss at the end of the day. Mike Brown calls the shots. And a lot of times when he calls that shot, it's him opening the door, letting players walk and go get paid elsewhere. Ask Joe Mixon and Jesse Bates and all of these guys that they let leave. And I'm supposed to believe that they're going to pay Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow, get ready to be disappointed. And if you are disappointed, then what next? George Kittle may be getting a contract as well as Purdy. George Kittle could get a lucrative deal too after a sneaky good season. That's according to Wagner, who covers the NFC West with ESPN on the 49ers. I'll come back to talk about Brock Purdy's contract as that develops. Right now, it's sounding like he's going to get more of a 3-year deal, but a whole lot of more money than I think it should be still. But at least it's short term. I just hope they do it a way to where if they keep him, they can protect him also. And they need to protect him. What do you think is better, O-line or D-line? I mean, which one do you think needs to be addressed more? Kyle Shanahan doesn't ever really address the offensive line. But the last time he paid a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, way back when, it seems like it's been forever, he did have a center in Alex Mack he went to go get. If I'm not mistaken, it was Alex Mack, yeah. No, before that, it was that guy from the Giants, Ryan Jensen or something like that. And then he went and got Alex Mack, and he retired. There's a center, I think, now coming from Atlanta that as a free agent, and people think Shanahan will have to overpay him. But you got to do what you got to do to protect your investment. And again, y'all, to Niner fans, I love Purdy, but I love him at a certain price. In order to keep the core together, I'm pocket watching a little bit because I want the core to stay together. Or I want them to be replaced well. Like Dre Greenlaw, he's not coming back. Get over it. Hufanga, he's gone. We got to get over it. But you got to replace those guys. Draft/free agency. We'll talk about who those players need to be and who's available. Who should they go get? Who should they draft? There will be more 49er talk for the people that want to hear it. A little mini version of the 49 show that I used to do before the Great Debate Show. But I just wanted to talk basketball a little bit, Draymond and the Warriors. I told you that Ja news that could happen this summer. Some KD trade could happen this summer. And what's up with the disrespect with the Thunder? And do you think, are you one of those that think Joe Burrow won't be successful if he loses Chase and Higgins or just one of them? We've seen him play without one of the other receiver at times now. I don't remember him just stinking the place up. But give me your thoughts. I would love to hear it in the comment section. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. I appreciate it. This is the Great Debate Show, and I'll be back for another one. Y'all be safe out there. Peace.